and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I'm doing something a little bit weird. So I reacted a few days ago to a Bluejay video about crazy war tactics, and Bluejay in that video made several references to another video on the same subject that he had made before, wherein a response video from DJ Peach Cobbler was created because of some of the things that he got wrong in that video. And someone suggested that I watch the DJ Peach Cobbler video about it. So I'm going to. I think it'll be interesting. And I think it was an interesting idea. And even though I haven't seen the Bluejay video, it'll be interesting to watch the DJ Peach Cobbler one to see like how he was wrong. Because again, Bluejay did mention multiple times that he was wrong and he'd like how he's changed his research techniques because of this. So I'm interested. Let's go.
It used to be said that facts speak for themselves. This is, of course, untrue. The facts speak only when the historian calls on them. It is he who decides to which facts to give the floor, and in what order or context.
Okay, history is written by the victors.
Everyone knows what monsters the mad Egyptians worship.
Bluejay isn't racist. I should be clear. I mean, he's probably not racist. I mean, I'm racist. Who cares?
Everyone's a little bit racist sometimes. Right? Avenue Q?
Continuity. The fact is that Bluejay gave the floor to someone he shouldn't have. This has happened to, I think, every amateur historian with a cartoon profile picture. This person he gave the floor to be clear.
I mean, is that also, when did this come out? A year ago? This also might be a reference to Internet Historian at some point, because I know that he had a whole conflux of controversy where some bad people were in his DMs and in his audience, and people were blaming him for that.
Was not Nathan Bedford Forrest. It was an ancient historian. It would be difficult to recognize what exactly was going on unless you possessed an encyclopedic knowledge on ancient Roman racism. Bluejay made an honest mistake. This is not going to be 20, 30 minutes of me just, attacking the guy. It's a very small claim and a very small error. But I think what's more important, though, is that the mistake that Bluejay made wasn't just honest. It was very interesting.
Oh. Okay.
For those of you that don't know, Bluejay does what I do. He makes cute little edutainment videos on history, except where Bluejay combines a dark sense of humor with an affable mascot, resulting in a delightful tonal contrast. I just sound like I'm genuinely mad that you're here. Wish you would leave. And I seem to find a sexual thrill in having the most inappropriate emotional reaction imaginable.
And that is why he does his commentary from a trash heap in the woods.
To historical events.
Normal.
I have described Mayan ritualistic foreskin bloodletting as a vibe, and the Roman holiday where they crucified dogs as
they did what?
Probably deserved. Bluejay, in his video, Wacky War Tactics in Another Nutshell, discusses the Battle of Pelusium and cites an article hosted on the official-sounding World History Encyclopedia, written by Joshua J. Mark. We'll get into who Joshua J. Mark is drawing this story from, as that's where the problem is here. This battle is widely regarded as the decisive battle in the war between Egypt and Persia, which would lead to Egypt losing their independence to Persia. And then Alexander, then the Ptolemies, then those Italians showed up, and Eurocentric yada yada yada, Egypt would not be ruled by an Egyptian until the 1960s. Anyway,
holy shit, I didn't realize it was that bad. The Battle of
Pelusium was important, not only because it was such a decisive battle and such an important war to history as a whole, but also because, according to Bluejay and World History Encyclopedia, the Persians defeated the Egyptians with cats. During the battle, the Persian king Cambyses II decided to exploit that goofy-ass Egyptian religion by painting his soldiers' shields with the image of Bastet, the cat lady god, and also, just flooding the battlefield with cats. This is sometimes cited as the first historical example of psychological warfare, and it would result in a decisive Persian victory, as the Egyptians...
No, sorry. We're talking about how... what I'm guessing here is that the racist part of the commentary here was that it's racist to assume that the Egyptians wouldn't have attacked the cat shields. My guess is that's where that's going.
Egyptians, cats.
We're talking about cats and it's Persia. It's right there.
cast down their weapons, unwilling to strike the image and avatars of their goddess. So where's World History Encyclopedia getting this from? Polyenus, who, inexplicably, is not a mythical Greek monster with 1,000 anuses, but is rather a Greco-Roman historian who lived in Macedon in the 2nd century AD. Polyenus wrote a collection of historical war stratagems for then co-emperors Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus.
Oh.
So let's see what exactly he said on the Battle of Pelusium.
Okay.
When Cambyses attacked Pelusium, which guarded the entrance into Egypt, the Egyptians defended it with great resolution. They advanced formidable engines against the besiegers and hurled missiles, stones, and fire at them from their catapults. To counter this destructive barrage, Cambyses ranged before his front line dogs, sheep, cats, ibises, and whatever other animals the Egyptians hold sacred. I'm sorry if you can hear a gun in the background.
I did not hear
We're
it,
in Texas.
I didn't hear it, but cool. I've heard guns going off in the woods near my house too. It happens. Not in Chicago, but back in Baltimore.
The Egyptians immediately stopped their operations
Because it was
out
Baltimore.
of fear of hurting the animals, which they hold in great veneration. Cambyses captured Pelusium and thereby opened up for himself the route into... One second. Egypt. Nothing
Good.
about painting cats on
Yeah.
shields. I can find no ancient source writing about painting cats on shields, despite the
Okay.
fact that World History Encyclopedia
It's phrased in a very misleading way. The Persian king, knowing that the veneration Egyptian held for cats had the image of... Okay, so he just had the image of Bastet painted on shoulder shields and further ranged before his front line all the animals that they found important. Okay.
claimed that Polyenus said that. He didn't. It
Okay,
appears to be a
interesting.
widespread myth, but I cannot find its exact source, wherever it comes from. It is possible it came from a misunderstanding of a book written by wonderful author and Spider-Man Tom Holland. As he wrote in his book,
Oh man, shots fired at Tom Holland, the Spider-Man.
and
was
Spider-Man
good Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
There's another Tom Holland who writes history books. His prose is great, but he takes his sources at their word a bit too much. Okay. All right, interesting. Yeah, you do have to be careful. Like it's really using primary sources is really important. But again, I feel like I'm about to do I'm just like ground news, right? I feel like I'm about to do a freaking sponsorship, even though I'm not sponsored by anybody. But like, that's why you need to have primary sources, but you need to have multiple primary sources, preferably from multiple sides of a tale, because you can't just say, listen to one account and be like, yep, that's true for sure. Absolutely, that's the way it happened, because the person was there. It's like so many things go into a primary source, so many historical biases, so many, however the person grew up who was writing it, again, history, the victors. Is there even a secondary, is there another side of the story, or did all of the documentation about it get destroyed? Who knows? So anyway, I will say, cool beans. I like that he's calling this out.
As he wrote in his book, Persian Fire, that when the Persians finally met the Egyptians in battle, it is said that they did so with cats pinned to their shields, reducing their opponent's archers, for whom the animals were sacred, to a state of outraged paralysis. If you will check Tom Holland's citation for that claim, you will see that he's citing Polyenus exclusively on this point. So I guess we just sort of got to assume that Tom Holland is assuming the cats were pinned to shields.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking cats.
I don't know. Yeah, where did that even come from? It said that they put them on the front line because they didn't want to attack the animals, which, fine. Painting them on the shields. It is interesting that we don't know where that actually came from.
They'd run away. It's a battle.
Oh.
They're fucking cats.
Yeah, they'd
It's funny to me that the illustration on World History Encyclopedia's website shows the cats running fearlessly into fucking battle. So once again, to be very clear, Polyenus
Well-trained
mentioned
cats.
neither cats being pinned to shields
Or
nor
painted
being
on
painted
them.
on shields. I can find no one who did, as I too could not find anyone else giving such a colorful account of the Battle of Pelusium. If you will return to Spider Twink's Persian history book with a title that I'm sort of jealous of, I wish I thought of it, you will see that in his citation he says, "This story is found in the 7th book of Polyenus' Strategies, written in the 2nd century."
I was like using my koosh ball as a stress ball and I broke it. It's just like, that's so sad. I didn't realize I could even break a koosh ball. Aw. Oh, I'm an idiot. That's so unfortunate. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, devastation. That's devastating.
AD, perhaps a suspiciously late date. Perhaps
I'm gonna hold this one
Polyenus
instead.
is our earliest account of Cambyses filling the battlefield with animals. He was writing 700 years after the event. That's useless. You understand that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hernan Cortez beat Montezuma to death with a rubber chicken. I'm the first guy to say that. It's been 500 years since the event transpired. It's safe to assume I'm just making things up. As far as I'm concerned, that is all I need.
That
but
tracks.
there's a lot here when you dig into it. Cats are not emphasized whatsoever. They are one among many animals. Joshua J. Mark emphasizes that killing cats was considered totally against Egyptian religion, but Cambyses II didn't fill the battlefield with cats. He filled it with animals, among
Lots of
which
animals.
were apparently some cats. He didn't paint a shield with the image of Bastet, so why the fuck do you keep talking about Bastet? What about ibises? Ibises were in there. Why
Birds.
did you ignore the noble ibis, Josh?
For real.
I can't believe I'm arguing with a guy
Rude.
named Josh. The reason for this
I mean,
mismatch
it's easy to
between
argue
what
with
the
guys named
sources are
Josh.
claiming and what Joshua J. Mark claimed.
Joshes will always argue back with you. So that's why I say this is someone who knows one Josh and hasn't talked to them since we were 9. I don't actually does that even count as me knowing? Oh, no, wait, I do know another Josh. Only we're friends, so it's fine.
Is that we just sort of, it's fun. It's fun talking about how much Egyptians loved cats. And the Romans had a lot of fun talking about Egyptian attachment to animals
Oh.
too. It was sort of different. And it sort of explains what happened.
Oh, I see where he's.
It is so fucking bright out here. I'm sorry if I'm squinting. I got fucking beer on. God damn it. Sorry. Cicero wrote, "Who is there who is unacquainted with the customs of Egyptians? Their minds being tainted by harmful opinions, they're ready to bear any torture rather than hurt an ibis, a snake, a cat, a dog, or a crocodile."
Why is that harm? That's.
But of course, that is but a single example of Polyenus's absurd claim being rooted
But
in
also, it's why is that a harmful opinion? Let's not kill the. Why are you holding the animals hostage anyway, Romans?
Greco-Roman stereotypes about Egyptians rather than any sort of historical fact.
Yeah.
That's right. We must become the most annoying people imaginable on the internet.
Okay.
Digging through quite
Done.
literally ancient writings
Easy
to find
peasy.
people doing heckin' unwholesome, racist wrong things.
Yeah, let's go.
It's time to cancel Cicero.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard
He's
rumors he's
canceled.
unvaccinated. Anyway, let's jump forward a few centuries and look. Sometimes as a historian, you have to go places you don't want to go. As truth seekers, we gotta follow the path wherever it leads, right? So, I want you to be strong with me. Keep your head on straight, and together, we are going to read poetry
Oh.
written by a conservative.
Oh.
Where the American flags at? Remember when people would.
In juvenile satires, we see a comedic perspective on the Egyptians from a staunch Roman conservative, advocating for traditional Roman values and decrying the influence of stinky foreigners. So, this is the classical equivalent of one Egyptian townsfolk will
Okay.
venerate cats, another's freshwater fish, or they'll say their prayers to a dog. It is a sin to violate a leek or crunch an onion in your teeth. They abstain from woolly animals completely at their tables, and there, it's a sin, as well, to slaughter a goat's offspring.
This is a bad poem.
But it's fine to feed on human flesh. Overall, it's not very nice to Egyptians. If you
Also,
get
it's
that
bad
vibe.
poetry. It
And
doesn't rhyme even.
lastly, this is gonna be fast, I promise. In Virgil's motherfucking,
Aeneid.
to be clear, the
Aeneid.
Aeneid was an epic poem of great cultural importance to Rome, as
heard
it
of
was
the Aeneid.
Rome's original character, Do Not Steal, to Homer's Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. Regardless, the poem is very partial to the man in charge at the time,
Of course it was.
who was Octavian.
I mean, honestly though, at that time, so much of the poetry and the art and all of that was really, it was had to be nice to the person who was in charge, because a lot of the times they were the person who had, you know, paid for the work to happen. So it's like they had to be kind of nice to them. I mean, I think I heard stories about like Michelangelo kind of being salty about Da Vinci. No, I feel like I think it was Michelangelo who was salty about the Pope at the time, or whoever had commissioned him to paint the Sistine Chapel. And so he like painted it, but because the guy was an asshole, he like painted him in hell being tortured by demons. Which I don't know. Again, I like I said in the Bluejay video, sometimes I just say shit, okay? I am not pretending to be a historian. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I heard a thing. I did not look into it. But this is the disclaimer that sometimes I just say shit. I don't think anybody else should say shit. I usually do like immediately, like it's like, hey, well, blah, 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 this thing is a true fact. Maybe. I don't know. I heard it once. I read it on Tumblr.
And as you could imagine, Octavian didn't care very much for Egyptians. Virgil described the Egyptian pantheon as barking Anubis and monstrous gods of every kind.
Holy shit. Sorry,
Let's
Anubis.
really think about what we got here. We got a politician writing philosophy. We got a comedian, an anonymous comedian. We don't know like who he actually was.
Oh, okay.
Writing satire. And we have a like world like Virgil. I know you're like me. You're just stinky weird guys. But Virgil is like, he's in Dante's Inferno,
Yeah.
rated M for mature. The Egyptian fixation on animals, well, don't get me wrong, it did exist. But this was something the Romans really fixated on. They found it depraved, monstrous, and laughable. But despite the deep-seated Roman disgust of these backwards people and their animal gods, the Roman people would enthusiastically adopt one member of the Egyptian pantheon with gusto. But in order to bring this part of the argument to bear, I'm going to have to bury this video under some 10-hour video essays about iCarly or whatever the fuck, as it's going to get me demonetized. Anyway,
Yay.
that
Okay.
god was Isis.
Oh,
No.
yeah, the lady.
The other one. Isis was
Rainbow
the
goddess.
deity who would find widespread worship in the Roman
No.
Empire.
She was like the sister wife of Osiris, queen of gods, whatever. She could do some cool shit. I don't know why I was thinking Iris, which was rainbow in Greek.
It is so fucking bright out here.
Serapis would also find worship in the widespread Roman Empire. Look, synchronism makes things complicated. What's important is that Romans would accept human gods, but not animal-headed readers. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
Here it is killing me.
Even though, like, I'm sure that Jupiter did his fair share of animal transformations, because Jupiter is just Zeus with a different name. So I'm sure that he was always an animal of some kind doing all sorts of horrible stuff. Come on, Romans. No hypocrisy. Let's go.
I'm not going outside again. You go outside once in a year to film something, and the sun is out. It's fucking
How
on.
dare?
This is largely due to two qualities which she possessed, which, broadly speaking, the other Egyptian gods did not.
Boobs.
Number one, she was not an ostrich, or whatever the fuck. And number two, she had been Hellenized over the centuries. The Greeks, in general, possessed a more favorable view of the Egyptians and their accomplishments. But to be clear, when I say Greeks, I mean Aristotle and Herodotus, who had been dead for centuries by the
Just
time
that.
of Paulinus. The whole LOL animal worship thing doesn't seem to come about until the late Republic, early Empire period.
Okay.
The reason I'm digging
Someone
into
should
the
stab him
writers
about
who preceded Paulinus is not just to establish a pattern of Romans mocking the sanctity of animals in Egyptian religion, but also to sort of highlight that if Pelusium really went down that way, the Romans would not stop talking about it. Like, Cato the Elder would have gotten it on a lower back tattoo. They would have loved that fucking story. It would be one of the most famous stories in all of history if someone even remotely credible actually said it. The big thing is that Paulinus stands alone. He stands alone 700 years after the battle. In fact, we have a more reputable description of the Battle of Pelusium
Oh, do
from
we?
a more known quantity.
So I wonder why he decided to go with that tale then. Like maybe it was something, maybe it was like what I do. It's like what I do where it's like I heard something once and it's like it's gotten complicated, like convoluted with a different story. And so then I'm like, oh yeah, but it was this. And then like you pair it together with something that you kind of know. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I don't want to ascribe malicious intent to this man that has been dead for like millennia. But
A historian who explains their methods, investigates, and does the very sort of work that I'm claiming Polyaenus did not.
ooh.
Here's the thing about history, kids.
Tim.
It's a hard truth, it's a cold truth, and it hurts innocent historians all around the world every day. Sometimes, Herodotus is the best source you have.
Ooh. I don't know what that means.
May God have mercy on us all.
Sorry.
Herodotus was writing 100 years after the Battle of Pelusium,
Oh.
whereas Polyaenus was writing, as I
That's
said,
a significant difference.
Furthermore, Polyaenus, as far as I can tell, just sat down and wrote some shit for some imperial assholes. Herodotus visited the battlefield. He poked some fucking skeletons and asked the locals themselves
Yeah,
what happened.
I was gonna
Herodotus'
say, it was 100 years later. He absolutely could have run across some people who were there, or like whose dad was there. You know.
word should, as always, be taken with a grain of salt. But I don't think you should take Polyaenus for anything, like at all. What Polyaenus wrote is absolutely not evidence of what happened at Pelusium. It's evidence of what the Romans thought about the Egyptians. Someone should really make a video about that. So I've got one more point I want to make, even though I think at this point it's somewhat unnecessary, but I think it's neat.
Oh, yay,
A
March.
lot of this stuff, all I
like
had
that
to
meme.
do was say is 700 years after the fact, and I probably would have been fine. But it's just like a lot of this stuff is genuinely interesting, I think.
Yeah,
So
I
what
was
I want to
interested.
do is I want to read about a single body excavated from a single site, the old city of Sardis, which was sacked by the Persians, specifically Cambyses II's father.
Oh,
So here is the
okay.
description of the body. This was an older man in his 40s, arthritic, and probably one of the inhabitants of the house. So,
So a civilian.
like, not a warrior, right?
Yeah.
It used to be said. Where the fuck is it? Who would have possibly thought that a pile of loose papers being thrown around could get out of order? Only parts of the skeleton were preserved. The head, right arm, left hand, and both legs were all missing.
That's a lot.
Rip. Since this part of the house was not disturbed after the destruction, the missing limbs must have been removed in antiquity. Because the bones were so burned, it could not be determined whether the missing pieces were the result of deliberate mutilation,
Okay.
common in ancient warfare, or of having been carried off by dogs or other animals. But yeah, I mean, you see the brutality of it, right? Like, you wouldn't just surrender. Oh, they got cats and that. No, it's. Hold on. Shit, I made a mistake actually here. Oh shit, yeah, no, this is not I didn't pick this body. This is not a random body.
Oh,
This is your mother. Your mother burned alive in her home and was eaten by dogs because you ran away due to your religious beliefs over sheep or dogs or whatever the fuck. Your
Really?
wife and children have been assaulted and enslaved. Your home was burned to the ground. Everything that you have been, that your
Oops.
people are, you are just a jewel in the crown of a foreign despot who is, for generations, going to subjugate and exploit you and your descendants.
Cool. Great.
This story
I did
is
good.
ridiculous. When Polyaenus wrote down that the Egyptians let that happen to themselves to avoid hurting animals, he was mocking them. He was mocking not only their religion, but their manhood and courage. Okay.
Which is so wild choice. Almost 1,000 years after it happened. Like, you're still on that, dude? You're still that mad? That you won? Like, they didn't even win. Like, what the hell?
I've made my points in a systematic, measured, reasonable, if hostile and unhinged manner. I've
You
cited
can't be
my
reasonable
sources
and unhinged.
improperly because that's fucking tedious. I've crossed my T's, I've dotted my I's. So I hope I've earned a single point which I can make just based purely on simple logic. I sort of made it earlier, but I feel like I really didn't just drive it home. Do you really think a bunch of animals in the middle of a battlefield aren't gonna instantly get the fuck out of there?
They're gonna do their
It
best.
takes months, if not years, to make a man not instantly get the fuck out of there the
Yep.
second that shit
They have to
starts
train the
flying.
horses
You're
to
telling
hell
me
too.
that they sent the cats to basic training? I can't
Yeah.
get my cat to sit on my fucking lap. That heartless bitch. How did they even
dare
get
she?
them there? Did they just, like, they must have been in separate cages, right? Unless they were literally herding cats. They must have been in separate fucking cages, because they sure as shit were not all in the same cage. Polyeunis's account of Pelusium is a lie. A lie which he either made up himself, or has the dubious distinction of being the first guy to record this lie in writing. At least the first guy to record this lie in writing, which
That we still
survived.
have.
Putting aside the logistical nightmare of bringing the fucking circus to battle, the absurd notion that these animals, which include literal fucking birds, would not immediately get the fuck out of there. Like, it's just insane. Like, maybe they could have, like, kept them in cages in front of the front line. Like, the troops could be pushing the cages filled with animals.
That would still be a lot.
Once again, I'm doing the work for the guy, and there's no reason to think he has any idea what the fuck he's talking about. Most importantly, we see in
Okay.
Herodotus a more, relatively speaking, reputable source who makes no mention of this Persian zoo shit. Herodotus focuses on the inexperience of the Egyptian pharaoh at the time to explain the swift fall of the city. He also mentions the lack of support from Egypt's Greek allies, which is a pretty sketchy assertion in and of itself, but whatever. It's not
Okay.
ridiculous. Anyway, this is a long
Not as
fucking
insane.
video, and generally speaking, these long fucking videos that I'm thinking about the thumbnail I'm going to put now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for that thumbnail. I couldn't resist it. Like, we should do a podcast, Bluejay, if you're still watching. You mentioned getting drinks with Trey the Explainer. We should all do a podcast. Like, I think it'd be fun. This is my job application. Email me, please. I was banned from Twitter for reasons which I just don't have time to get into right now. Next video is a
Okay.
gaming video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I'm sure he's back on Twitter now. All right. Fun. Okay, that was interesting. And again, like I said, I didn't watch the original video, the Bluejay one. So I have no idea what I might have said about that. But it was interesting. And I'm really glad I watched that. So I know that I've had Kit watch some DJ Peach Cobbler videos before, but I'm not sure if I've seen one. But it was timely, and so thank you for telling me to watch this one. I enjoyed it. I think I might enjoy more of his videos, honestly. It was a lot of fun. And I do like the historical videos, even though the history videos don't do nearly as well as certain animal videos and any of the music reactions. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. And don't forget to like it and subscribe and tell me what else I should be looking at. I'll see you next time.